Welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's video, we're still working on the same three projects: the 32 Ford 5-window coupe, the 33 Ford 5-window chassis, and the Camber Ladies 32 Ford Roadster. I've got to push on to get some more body work done on the Roadster body. The plan is right now to take apart the 9-inch Ford rear end and the ladder bars here, finish weld all the brackets in place because everything's tacked right now, do some paint touch up, and then get it back assembled. We're not going to paint the frame just yet. I will paint the chassis pieces and stuff like that, and we're going to put the spring front and back in place because we still have to fit the engine and the transmission into it. Not sure exactly when that's happening, whether that's this week, next week, the following week. But at any rate, what we'll do is we'll get moving on this, get things cleaned up a little bit, permanent welded, and then kind of reassembled. And then, like I said, I really got to get a push on and get some of the body work done on the Roadster body because I don't want to be painting it in the cold. So anyways, follow along this week. We're still on 32 and 33 Fords. So tonight I'm going to keep on working on Ellie's coupe, where I fixed the A-pillar. I thought I would just start working my way around the back of the car, just piece by piece. So the doors themselves, the chop on the doors, the welds were just basically tacked at the top here. I've already cut the welds. Well, there wasn't much weld to cut. There was a tack there and a tack there. But what happened was that when they did the chop, the top part was tilted this way. So what I've gone through with the mini grinder here a couple times. I've widened that out so that now I can actually tilt this back so that we've actually got the door is relatively straight. Before it actually bent forward. So what I'll do, I'm going to start with this. I'm just going to dress this up a little bit. We'll put a couple tacks into it. Over here, when they made the cut, I probably would have cut it somewhere here myself and then just tried to pie cut it a little bit more. But it is what it is, and we're going to try and fix it and make it look pretty decent. But essentially, this section was thick and it would drop down to a thinner section, but they just cut it in a place where you couldn't, I guess, match it up together. On the inside, it's not so bad because right there I can weld that and we could have the window track fit nice and flat, so that's good. We'll trim this up and tidy this up here. Out here, probably what I'm going to do is I might put a little piece of metal in there just to fill it in, and then where it's stepped, I might pie cut this in so that we've got a nice smooth transition on the inside. Functionally, we want to get the welds good, but we also want to have it look pretty decent. Over on the Camber Ladies Roadster, I did finish sanding the door. I just started laying fill on the back of this package tray area, the back of the seat area. And then on the back of the deck lid, I put a skim across the top of the back because I think I showed you, or I would have showed you a couple episodes back. This was a second, and if you looked just under the light, you could see just a couple little dimples or waves into it. So what I want to do, I'm going to skim that. I'll take my bigger blocks and I'm going to block that flat. So when I'm done, probably what we should see is just a couple small little areas, like just little oval areas where it's filled in. But the best thing to do with that is just skim the whole thing, get your big blocks out, and then block it nice and flat. So anyway, we're carrying on, pushing forward with the Camber Ladies Roadster chassis. I'm working on Ellie's coupe, and then tomorrow, hopefully what I'll be doing is I'll start taking the 33 chassis apart and welding up the 9-inch Ford rear end. Like I said, on the previous episode, we got all the brackets in place. We tacked them where we needed them to have them. But then in order to do a proper or a better weld, I need to take the rear end out, take everything off of it, and then weld around those brackets on both sides of the brackets, get a nice strong weld on those. So there's the first door fixed, kind of cut through most of the chop without taking it off, trying to repair the connections both on the door and the outer door. Metal is pretty thin in some places, so kind of had to weld quite a bit up. But nevertheless, we've got pretty decent, well, we've got a decent weld. The door is lined up. It's now straight. On the inside, don't know if you can see that or not, but it's going to take a little skim of body fill, but a lot of times when you chop stuff on the inside, it's never perfect anyways. We try and clean it up, but I mean, it depends on what you want. Over on this side, had to weld up inside here because there was a mismatch. And then around the other side of it, I don't know if we can hopefully show how we welded this. We had to split it here and basically tip everything in so things lined up. Probably wasn't a good idea to chop where they did. I probably would have chopped further down. But anyways, what's done is done. We're just trying to have to fix it. You can see on the other side there, the other door, how it was mismatched. Kind of was dealing with the same thing on this side. And then over there, you can see how that door is also not welded all the way through. And the same thing was going on over here. So anyways, we're off for now. That's what we're going to do on Ellie's coupe. I'm going to slowly work my way back. Next up on her, we'll try and fix this one and then get some of the gobs out of here. Owner says he doesn't really want us to cut through this. We just wants to dolly it out, flatten it out, and basically be able to put a skim onto it. Because although that's pretty ugly on the back, what I looked at on the inside, it's pretty solid weld. So there's really nothing structural there. It's just basically trying to clean this one up. Alignment wise, we can probably do something with it. Around the window here though, going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'll probably have to split it here, tip it out, and make it so that there's a nice smooth transition here. Anyways, we'll step our way through with it. But next up, got to get going on the 33 chassis here. So what I'm going to do, as I said before, I'm going to pull the rear end out, fully weld all the brackets, clean stuff up, and then start paint prepping for like paint touch up on all this stuff. He doesn't want like a full meal deal, high-end kind of paint job on all of this. He wants just basically functionally clean it up, paint it really good, and he just wants to build an old running hot rod kind of thing. Not going to go to like look for prizes or awards, but just wants it built nice and safe, and protect the metal, and that's about it. So anyways, we're going to carry on with that, pull everything out, weld it up, and then work towards putting it back together again with all the springs into it. Okay, like I said, next up was to weld or finish welding up the ladder bar brackets and the shock brackets. Like I said, I welded on this side. I welded on wherever I could weld on both sides of the bracket and get full penetration. I did. I took my time at it. So once I get it all welded up and cleaned up, wire wheeled what was there. The rear end was already painted once already. So we just did, we're just doing a touch-up paint job onto it. That's all done right now. And then the ladder bars and the shocks, I don't know if you can see them out there. Spray painted them outside just with some trim clad. They look pretty good. And then I got the shocks, if you can see it or not, they're just hanging up inside the cab there. I painted them outside and then hung them up inside the cab. We'll wait till they dry a little bit and bring them back in. I find when you paint stuff with spray bombs, you usually have to wait 1, 2, 3 days. They say that it's dry to the touch, but usually it's not dry to like leaving a fingerprint for a couple days. So we're going to let this sit and move on to something else. Still got to do some more body work on the camera lady's Roadster body. We got some work done along the back here, and then sanded it. It was nice, but kind of saw a couple little imperfections, so we're putting another skim onto it. Hopefully you'll get that sanded and then get the back of the deck lid sanded. Really hoping to finish all of this stuff over the next week or two as quick as I can. We're doing a good job, of course, but kind of just going in between the Roadster, the 33, and the 5 window right now. So anyways, off to do some sanding, and we'll show you what it looks like soon. I've been plugging away sanding here, which is not my favorite thing to do, as you probably have figured out by my comments in the past. The package tray on the back here, I've put my third little touch up onto it, because for whatever reason, once I sanded it where I wanted it to, I still had a little bit of negative indication. So got one spot there and one there, but otherwise I think along the back there, I'm quite happy with it. And then across the back of the deck lid, the areas that were left after I blocked it are kind of the same areas that were circled on this deck lid when we bought it, because as you know, or as you don't know, this 32 Ford Roadster body was a Brookfield body. We bought it in pieces. We built it from seconds. There's a bunch of videos on us building several of these. I think we did 5 of them in total for different people. We don't have any more, but this is ours. But that particular deck lid had a couple areas that were circled. And even when you look under the light on a right angle, you could see kind of like little low spots. So after it's sanded, the fill kind of stayed in the spots where I kind of thought it would. So happy with it. When I run my hand over it, can't feel anything. So I think we're good on that one. And then on the lower deck lid on the back here, I sanded that with 80 grit, and then I put a skim of body fill. We'll get going with that hopefully tonight. So kind of making some really good progress here. The last thing that I have to do after the lower deck lid is the passenger door. I've got to go around the outside where I did on the driver's side door where I put the skin on. The same thing. If that all goes well, I'm really hoping I can keep going at this over the next couple of days. I'll be ready to put high build on it. Now, one thing, I was talking with my brother-in-law who runs a large body shop. One thing he suggested was, because I had knocked down the bare metal in a couple places, that he thought I should probably put another coat of primer on this before I put the high build on. So I am going to take his advice. Once everything is ready, I'm gonna put another coat of primer on it before I put the high build on. But at any rate, I'm hoping like maybe the end of this week, or worst case next week, we're going to be priming this thing, going to the next step. So the rear lower tail pan sanded out pretty good, just had one tiny spot that I've got to do touch up on there, but looking good, nice and flat. Just one tiny little low spot, so we'll sand that out tomorrow night. Went over the door skin, the last door skin over here. So we basically got some body fill on that. They're going to do the same thing, go over the edges and feather everything out. And then go back over the body. Once that's sanded, I'm going to go back over the body one more time. I'll get a flashlight, look for anywhere where I can see any kind of low spots or imperfections or anything like that. I mean, for the most part, although the body panels were seconds, there wasn't really anything horrifically wrong with any of it. It was all kind of small stuff. And then, like I said, the body fill around the edges of the doors is basically from me dollying them around, like putting the door skins on. It's just not perfectly flat, so basically put a little bit of fill on the edge, feather it out, and then that way, everything's all cleared up. So anyways, we're gonna let the body fill dry and then come back out here tomorrow night and then give her a good sand, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be it. But you know how it is, like you go over it 15 times and you find something on the 16th time that you've got to touch up. But that's what makes a good body job, is like you've got to go over it over and over again, because you're bound to miss something. So we'll keep up with that. And then the paint is almost dry on all the suspension parts. Probably we'll start putting the springs and stuff back into the 33 frame, try and get that done, and just carry on with the projects. Well, tonight the plan was to work on the 33 chassis, kind of hoping to get as much of the pieces put back on as possible after painting them. Took a lot longer than I expected. Mainly that spring in the back was not a whole lot of fun, lining the center bolt back up. I mean, it's a process. It was what I thought it was going to be, which is basically put the springs on and put a long bolt through the center and then center up the hole and ultimately put the right size bolt through it and tighten it down. But just back and forth and back and forth, the springs are actually pretty stiff. So it took 4 clamps. The other thing I realized is that we don't have either U-bolts or a bracket there that will hold the rear spring to the rear cross member. So we'll have to sort that out. I did manage to, and I thought I had brand new grade 8 bolts to attach the ladder bars onto the rear end. I've got some used ones in there for the moment. I'm going to go to the hardware store tomorrow and pick up some new ones. I would rather use the fine threaded ones and some Stover bolts the right length than use what I have on there. So we're going to replace those. I'm good on the front. Got some brand new 1/2 inch fine thread grade 8 bolts for that. So we're good on that. That went in okay. Not going to put the shocks in yet because again, I don't have any new bolts. Again, I prefer to use the grade 8 bolts. On the shocks, not as much as the main suspension components, but I still use them anyways. So we'll pick those. I may pick those up tomorrow. We'll make that list up. Then on the front end, we got the spring put back in, the front spring reassembled and the U-bolts onto it. So I did accomplish turning this thing into a roller. So right now, I don't know if you can see it or not, I can roll it around. So we're not on jack stands anymore. We're not blocked up. So making progress that way. I kind of want to get this going because I think in the next couple of days, the engine and transmission should arrive here for me to start making engine and transmission mounts. We'll see. But anyways, we're making progress. Just like anything else, when you're working on this stuff, you think you have all the parts, so you got to go pick some more pieces up to keep the project moving along. Today I did go out and get my grade 8 bolts, just like I said. So now there's grade 8 bolts and Stover nuts on both the ladder bars. Then up front where the rod ends connect to the cross member here. The shocks are in place right now across the back. Happy with all of that. On the front, I was going to put the shocks on here as well, but I put an extra leaf, a small leaf in the front spring, because we're anticipating like this early Chrysler Hemi that we're going to put into it is going to be a little heavier than what we normally put in these. So we wanted a little bit extra spring in the front end. Ultimately, I can take that out if I need to. It's pretty easy to do. But as a result, where the thing is fully sprung up, I can't put the shocks on right now. So the Hemi and the transmission and the mount and an old radiator and a cowl are supposed to show up here in the next couple of days, because that way we can start positioning the engine transmission in the chassis so that there's no interference with the firewall and the radiator, kind of like what we did before. But that's obviously not here today. On the Cam Ladies Roadster, I realized that across the back, like I said, when you go over things a few times and double check, this is another area where we basically put the skin over the inner duct lid panel. So as a result of that, there's just ever so slightly bit of waviness here. So I put some tape here. So what I'm going to do later, I'm going to put a skim of body fill across that the same way. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I did get some body fill on the door, but didn't get it sanded yet. So anyways, just trying to get things moving along here. So that's it for another week of Coldstream Rod Shop. Unfortunately, the camera lady is feeling under the weather right now, so she can't come film me. We got a little bit of work done this week on Ellie's Coupe there. We got some of the chop fixed on the door. Then on the camera lady's 32 Roadster body over there, We got some bodywork done onto it. We're inching forward towards where we can hopefully put a coat of primer onto it and some high build. And then on the 33 chassis down there, we actually have turned it into a roller. We've got the rear end put in place, the ladder bars, a spring, the front end there, it's up off the ground right now, so it's on wheels. Got a couple more things to do, and like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, hopefully the engine and transmission will be coming in this week, along with a radiator and a cowl, so that we can start working on that. But anyways, that's it for this week. It's a little short this week, unfortunately, but that's what's going on at Coldstream Rod Shop. So anyways, please like, share, tag, and subscribe. Come on back next week and see what we're up to. Everybody take care and have a great week.